My name is Nils. You can call me by the surname. I'm scientific assistant at the University Mainz with the focus on interaction and interaction design. I'm teaching here vvvv gamma mostly. That's what I'm teaching. But my research is also going interaction design with robotics and all kind of hardware, sensoric, and how to connect them together and make design applications out of it. Often it's a little bit about hacking using fancy technologies and how to making design applications about it. And a little bit not using the technique for what it was thought about, and a little bit finding new use cases for these techniques. So what I can tell you, it's all about the basics about vvvv gamma. For some people, it's helpful, or often this software is used by designers because it's a graphical programming language. That's not a classical writing some words and then compiling, then doing abstract things, and then you have this real time, like Matthias told. You're doing something, you're putting some nodes, we are calling them nodes, which some kind of function is together, and getting some output and seeing direct what output we are get. So this is when you get to the basics idea of the software, it's you can really fast go on and with trial and error to what you want to get. So that's the basic about the software. We will come to it in some minutes. Some little bit about some organizations. So you will always get some input from me and my colleague. We'll take over at Wednesday. As I will do the Monday and the Tuesdays. You will do the Wednesday and the Thursday, and on Friday I'm again there, and there we will show some output of your work at some meet together. So I often work with my colleague. I also had it in the description. We do the last project we did together with before the pandemic starts. It's called Binär Transformation. It's audiovisual light installations. And so I think it's cool to have both here because there you can show a wider range of what we will do. So we will start today with the basics. I will show you the UI and how it's working and some about the namings of the software. And then we will start programming the first small things. Tomorrow we will go on with some data visualization. We think we will try to the data visualization. We will try to be the way through the meetings every day. So you can search for some data you will visualize. Today we will start with the basic, simple one like mouse interaction or keyboard interaction to show it what we can do with this. And tomorrow we will do it in 2D renderings. Then on Wednesday we will switch to 3D. Christina will show you some 3D stuff. And probably on Thursday she will give you an introduction in computer vision and how to interact with video camera. So there the wider opportunities about the interaction will start. So video recognition and interaction and analysis. This, I think, it's a good starting point. This is the webpage, visualprogramming.net. This is where you can download it, or hopefully you download it, and probably you have seen the showcase, what you can do with vvvv. I have to say, there are two versions of vvvv. This is vvvv gamma, which we will work on. It's a further development of vvvv beta, which is here, and where most of the showcase are done with vvvv beta. The development of vvvv beta started about 15 years ago. Under the hood, it was some older programming language, and at some point the developers decided to switch to .NET. It's the programming language under vvvv gamma, and so there are two versions. There is also a big community about vvvv. If you're interested in vvvv, it's also good to go to the page vvvv.org. There's a big community, worldwide community, where you can talk to people. Here you can also have some research about the documentation, what's going on, and also the forum. If you have questions, if we after the workshop you liked vvv Gamma and you will work on, you can ask questions here in the forum, or you can search the forum for some answers. The community is quite responsive, so they tried. So they answer your questions really fast, and they are really helpful. It's always about exchanging knowledge. Everybody's so happy to exchange their knowledge. So if you want to go on with them, feel free to ask your questions. They are happy to answer them. Yes. So have you everybody seen some showcases what this, or should we look at the show reel? This little show reel, so it's the more the advanced stuff what you can do with vvv, but sometimes it's good to see what can be done with this kind of software. Do you want to see it, or do you have seen it?
It would be nice to see.
Okay, then I will start it. I can tell you a little bit about the projects. I know some people who are doing this. First one was the App Philharmonic in Hamburg, a new opera cathedral. This is the Opera House in LA, I think, Disney Opera House, something like this. Also, projection mapping is done. This is an art project about light from some people from Korea. They are from Korea and in England. Elliot Woods is the people behind this. It's often used for ferries. We'll see that here, Telecom doing some this brand spaces are done with this. This is the here, genau, ferry. It's done by an agency here from Germany, Frankfurt. I also worked for this, also from an agency from Frankfurt. Here you see some robotic stuff which is done with it. There also was involved. Here you see some nice kind of data visualization. I think it's real-time data visualization. Also, VR stuff can be done. This is completely done with vvv Gamma. It was one project from the developers, one big project. So hopefully you get a little impression about vvv and what's possible with it to do. For me, it's developed over the years. It's a kind of toolkit where I can do a lot of things with most of my works I'm doing with vvv Gamma, because I have a lot of possibilities in a lot of directions. I think this is one of the strengths of vvvv. So you can start with connecting your hardware and doing 2D graphics, 3D graphics, or just control lights or everything. And it's yeah, combined with the cool community, it makes a lot of fun. And this knowledge exchangement I told you, it's a lot very helpful. So you always have the feeling not to be alone with your problems, and you can ask them. This is, if you start with vvv Gamma, you will see an empty paper, I would say, or we call it the right way patches. And vvv Gamma, we call it patches where we start. Probably it's a empty dark gray quad or rectangle. My first experience I started was with vvv Better. I opened it, I didn't know what to do, I closed it, and then I first started it 2 years again, and then having fun with it. For me, I started about now 15 years working with vvvv Gamma. I worked at the agency where it was first invented and developed. Later on, I wrote my diploma thesis in and about vvvv better it was. And so I stayed on with this kind of software and doing a lot of audiovisual installations for this agency, various auto companies and so on, showrooms. This was my basic field I was working on. But in the first moment, it's a little bit overwhelming. So what to do? So there is nothing, and they're not allowed to click and don't know. And so first, we have. I told you this empty fields, or we call it patches. They are called patches. You see it if you open, you get an empty patch with call me names. That's just shows you that's not saved. If we can save it, and then we get another. Put it here. Then you see it, you get a different name. So we have two menus. This is called the quad menu. This is about the software, the menu about the software. And here we get the menu for the patches, like saving them, loading them, closing them. But I will start with the quad menu. The quad menu is just basic stuff about new. We can create new patches. You see it like, yeah, I saved the patch to MOTYF workshop. If I do a new one, it comes up with the call me names name and the date from today. We can also open patches. We can save them all. If you have a lot, this little star here shows you that it's not saved, the patch. So I saved this one, the star is gone. It's just an indication that's not saved. Here you have a recent sketches, the last one which were opened. You can see here. Then you can open the help browser. It's like a lot of software. If you're hitting F1, it also comes up a second window, which is the help browser. I will show you this one later on because it's a great resource of informations. What you can find there, I will show you after the UI. I showed you the UI. Then the first interesting point is it's called applications. So in your software, in your patches, you can make definitions. And when you make these definitions, they don't work. You have to make to start them and or to combine them, and this will do in the application. The application you can also a little bit describe as the entry point of the software. As from here, the software gets started. And some under classical programming language, it's often called the main function, which is called at the beginning. So this is the point here is application. There could be more if you have more than one patches. So you can also have more applications. You can find them then, they will be listed there. Here are also all documents which could be found from inside vvvv Gamma are listed here. So these are all documents which are shipped with vvvv Gamma. They are not activated at the point. How to activate them, how to use them, I will also show you later on. Manage NuGets is a part how to extend vvvv Gamma with more functions. NuGets is a package management system. Probably you know it from other tools like it's npm, it's for Node.js, or so it's how to just install another library to the software. This I think we will do tomorrow, how to use it. There is a German book which is called Generative Gestaltung. It's about generic design, and there are some patches which are made with vvvv Gamma, and I think we will start with this tomorrow morning. How to use this tool to extend vvvv Gamma with some functions or other patches or the knowledge resources. Then if then we have these commands run, step, pause, stop. That's about, we have vv gamma is always compiling, and all your stuff you are doing is compiled the whole time. But if you want to go through the steps and see what happens in there, sometimes helpful to stop and go step to step by there. Or if you do something and you have to re-initialize the stuff, sometimes is necessary to stop the application and to restart. You can do it with F8 and F5. We will also see this later on. What's a really nice feature is, probably we can do it at the end of the week, is when you build your pages, you can export them, and then you have a fully Windows application, which you can start and show on a screen, or take it to your customers and say, yeah, here's this running application. It includes all stuff also needed for this application. I think we can also show this at the end of the week. Then we have some windows. One is really nice. It's the key and mouse display. I will edit. It's then here in the left corner, and then you see what I'm doing. If I'm pressing space keys or the mouse, it will show up. You just have to activate it if you start vv gamma. So please, if I restart it and I forget it, just remind me that I will activate it. Sometimes it's often helpful when you visit other people patching. Then we have patch documentation. This is more when you start developing. You can write information about these patches here, or text. Yeah, it's more when you're starting writing libraries for vv gamma, which other people can use, and probably can add text there for what you can search. Okay, then we have a log file, a log window. Probably this is useful. Sometimes when you don't know what's going on under the hood, some informations are sent here. Also, you can send information there. Then this other windows, I will show it just so we have see it. Here do you see what's going on under the hood? This is the decompiled source code. That's more about for the developers to see if there are errors or so, then they can explore it, what's going on there. And then there is the solution explorer and the dependencies explorer. This is what I told you. This is reliable to the NuGet. So if you add another library to your patch, you can see how they depends on each other. I think in the beginning we don't need this. It's just to have it here, as you have seen it. Then we have settings for here. This is quite useful. I will show it in Explorer. There, for vv gamma, there are a lot of settings, auto backups, the minutes. There are a lot of stuff. Some are not so important. What often is useful is we have a tooltip. I will show you later on. And you can make this tooltip more verbose, that it tells you more information. So this is about these tooltips: show my infos, make it true, is useful, or tooltip show all your objects, also useful. A lot of them settings are self-explaining what they are doing. If you don't know or you can't explain yourself what they are doing, then you can ask me or the community. But what I can what I can recommend is that you make these tooltip options to true, because then you can see later on more informations. When you make these changes, you have to restart vvv gamma to that are recognized by vvv gamma. You have to restart. There's also, you can probably, if you don't like the design, you can, the UI is styled by CSS. You can create your own CSS files, for example. It's also possible with the settings. Let's see. Yes. Then we have backups. So sometimes it happens that when you are programming, and it could happen that the software crashes. Then there are these auto backups. You can find it here via auto backup. Then do you see here the patches stored in the period you defined in the settings files. You define the settings files. Basically, at the start, it's or the default settings is about 5 minutes, and so on. Then we have the about section. This comes here from Airport. It's just a classical about what's in there, what licenses are in there, and who's developing this kind of software. And at the end, we can quit the software. So then we have the second menu. This is, I would call it the patch menu. So here we have these dependencies. Dependencies are other patches or VL documents. Then we call VL stands for visual language. So the software is called vvv gamma, and if you talk about the language, we talk about visual language. And these patches can depend on each other. Also, if you can structure your software with the several VL documents, and then you can connect them here together. Either you can load one document into these. At the start, we don't need it so often. Later on, if you're doing bigger projects like we've seen in the showcase, it makes sense to structure your project in different files. Also, these libraries which are developed for VL are structured like this. These are own vvv gamma documents, and you can just load it into vvv gamma. Also, it's the same. The nuggets menu I showed you, if you download it from anywhere, you will see it here, these nuggets, and you can activate them and deactivate them, and you also get some information about these nuggets. So probably I told you about this vvv generative Gestaltung. Here are these patches, and you see who it's developed. This is from the vvv group, this is the developer group, or here's some other people. Yes. Then we have, again, this application stuff. So if you have more patches or tabs with patches open, you can go with Alt-R to the application patch, the starting point of the application. Then we have definitions. This works together with applications. So here we can define parts of the software. How this happened, we will see after the break how we define stuff, and then we will call it in the applications. But here comes up the definitions part. You can start and make a definition. What is this? You can make a record. What is this? I will tell you later on. Just show you. So I make a record. I can call this record. And you see the definition should be here. Yeah, it's zoomed out. So I created a patch, and the definition of the patch is here. Probably the wrong way. I did the wrong way. So the definition is here, and I can call it part of the software. How and why this so works, I will show you later on. Then we can save these patches. We can save them on a different name. We can reload patches. This is probably when you work on these patches and make there's something not really working on, or I want to reload the saved one, and you haven't saved, then it will load the patch at the last saved state. We can close patches. Yep, and we can this one. And you can show it in the Explorer, the saved one. I saved my one to the desktop. We can see again the patch description is about XML, how it looks for the computer. You can see it here. It's also more for the developers to see how it works. And you see the last saved version of the software. What's sometimes important if there are changes and it's not backwards compatible, it's when you open it, the newest version, it could be probably not opened with an older version. So sometimes it's important to know that. And so it's right here. So this is the basic about the menus. Then we don't have not the point how to work or create things. And there we come to the node browser. The node browser is our main tool we will work with. This is quasi how to call the functions and to edit to the patches. So this, yes. So this is the node browser. First, let me ask. Okay. Are there any questions until here? No. So then no questions. I often don't know if this is good or bad. If there are no questions, I hopefully you can follow me. I will go on. The node browser is our main tool where we can define the parts of our program or our pages. You see there are some kind of categories where you go in. So there are 2D, 3D stuff, animation stuff, collection, color. Categories are always these 3 lines like menus. Then we have these kinds of packages which are shipped with vvvv. These are the functions or the libraries. If you click on them, the functions will be added to your software. What we heavily will use is this VL gear. So you see it. There are here no skier. If I click on this, that will show up that skier is added to your to vvvv, and then we get this new point graphics, and in there is skier, and we get a new whole category skier. Please do this for you also. Then because we will work the first 2 days with Skier. This is the 2D render engine. And then we can have a look in Skiers. Then we see these kind of nodes. These are called nodes. These gray rectangles with a slight lighter top and bottom. And in there we get a renderer, and renderer are called windows, with our output windows. And if you click it, you will see what comes up here. This is a node. We call this one nodes. And nodes some kind of functions. This is the function create me a window or an output window. And nodes have input pins where we can connect stuff to, and we have output pins where we get information. A function, you can always put information in and you get information out. The information out from the renderer is about the render time, how fast it runs, or client bounds are how the size of the window. We get some information about the window. And here we can put stuff in. The easiest one is simple. So I come back to the node browser, what I want to show you. Then you also see what I did with the application and the definition. You can create your own nodes. You can structure your program. The simplest node we will do is at the beginning an addition. You can, so already the function addition is added, but we will make our own addition. So how to combine two values. So you create your node. Then we have this node, and they have always an input pin that is updated. And here again, you see, if you open the definitions window, then you see it. Here we have this node, this definition, and at the beginning this is our application. We are in the application. It's created here also. Why do I show you this? Because when you open the node browser, we have these two kinds of parts. The input and the output, and they are meant, these are input pin and output pin. So you can create input pins and output pins of a patch or a node. So I can, with right click, I can open this node, and then I will create an input and an output. And if we go back to our application, now you see we have an input and an output here. So this is how about your own nodes. This is when we work on later. At the beginning, I will just show it because it's there in the node browser. How to use it, I will show you later on. I just will tell you all these parts of the node browser, how to use them and how to combine them and what they are doing. We will do it after the lunch break. And then we have here, when we open the node browser, the I/O box. I/O box are similar to pads. These are our variables or our very save information or in and put information to our software. So the I/O box, when we click it on it, then it comes on second menu and asks for which kind of I/O box we want to create. So there are different data types. What is a data type? Data type is in every programming software you have to define if you have a variable, what kind of variable it is. Is it a number, or what kind of number? Is it a number with a comma or with no comma? Or is it a string, or is it a path? And so there are a lot of I/O boxes where we can create it. So mostly I use the floats where you can create numbers with a comma. Or the thing that I will show you is a string where you put some text into it. And what a data type and
why there are different data types we also see later on. So this is one kind of putting information to your software. You can create these I/O boxes. You can double click on it, and then you can probably write into it. So here we create a text I/O box, and I can write it to it. When I double click on it, the same, I can double click on the I/O box float. I can just write a number into it. Or I can right click on it and pull it up and down to change the input values. And here do you see the direct interaction with the software. So I don't have to write it and compile it. So I can just change it, the values I want. And this is how to put the information in there. And the second one, if you want to save this information and use it on a different part of the software, you can write it to pads. So if you create a pad, you can say my value. So here we linked our first two functions or values. So if you go to some, you see there comes up a triangle, and if it shows down, this information comes out when you put it into it and another input, and we go out, then is this the input you can connect to an output. So if I create another pad, I can show it. So we can read it like this way. This 22.19 is saved to my value, and here the text is gone because I saved from the pad into the I/O box. But I write from the pad an empty string to the I/O box. I can also name it my string. And now if I write my value or my string, you also see they come up in the node browser. So I can use it in a different place on my page. And there also later on tomorrow we'll also see why we have to use pads. And another way is when I go to the output of the pad and make a middle mouse click into the patch, you see there's automatically created an I/O box with the right value data type. And now you see the connection. If I change it in the front of here, it's automatically routed to another I/O box. And so I can use it on different parts of my software and can just change it and use it everywhere I need it. You can also think about invisible connections. So we make these connections here. You can also do it like this. Then we write it also from one I/O box to a different one. So, but the pads are also some kind of bridges between functions, and what this means, it's more about, we will see this tomorrow. So this, I will delete it again because this was just for the explanation what these kinds of parts are here. Then we have these four dots. This is about to structure how much information is in your node browser. So these are these high-level nodes, and then probably there are some advanced nodes. Only I go to here. You see if I create it, and you see there are coming up new points. If you edit them, there are the developers of libraries of the software can define if some parts of the software are quasi high level or the low level nodes. Low level is then more when you're developing or when you're preparing up a library for users like me and you, and then you would say, okay, this part is more advanced. They don't have to see it when they are starting. You just need it to know when you're developing this stuff for other people, and so you can hide some stuff. So more about that the node process is not so floated. You see it at the beginning. There is a lot of information, and so it's sometimes helpful to keep it clean. And also this is a different kind of category. These are objects. Objects which are used in the software, how to create them and how to use them. It comes also tomorrow. Then we also, here is apart from this is experimental stuff, which the developer says it's there, but we don't want to say it needs some rework to get stable. So you can use it, and much part of them are useful, but they need some kind of rework to get it fixed or to get it ready for a stable release. And then also, if you're developing software, it's also often, okay, this part, or this, when you're doing this kind of rework, okay, this part gets obsolete, but if you want it, you don't want to spit it out of the software because all software probably do not work. Then you can define it as obsolete, and it's there. If you're running an old patch, it will still work because it's there, but it's not showing up in the node browser. Then the last two dots are these ones here. This is if you want to include information for these dependencies I show you, then you can say it, I want this information from these dependencies in here, or I want it not. At the beginning, I would say it's okay to disable them because we want to keep the information slow we work with because we are the beginners. And then I think I missed one thing when you go to graphics to skier. When you hover one of these nodes, you see on the right side, do you see the inputs and outputs nodes of the renderer? And you get the basic information about these nodes and what they are doing. Also, if you're going through the categories, graphics is here, to go to the categories, you see it here. And later on, if you create a node and you recognize, oh, it's not the right one, you can double click it, and you can, with escape, go level higher and be, okay, I want to use a different renderer, and then you can just edit, change it. So you don't have to re-edit and reconnect it. And then if they are connected, the pins, and the pins are named the same way, they will just reconnect. So when you double click a node, you can go through it. Yeah. So that's our node browser. We will use some questions about the node browser.
Could you repeat a little bit the? I didn't understand. Oh yes, what I had problems. So I chose from this menu and one node, and how to go back to the default. So if you, for example, choose graphics, so how?
So just click graphics, and then the renderer. And what do you want to go back to the default?
Yes, could you do it the same again, but much slower? I want to click on node and a random node. I want to choose
a random node.
A random node because any node, just any node. Click in any node.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Try
again. And
probably we can change the display. You can show me what you want to do. Then probably it's easier this way. I will stop my recording. Just show me what you want to do, and then.
Okay. It will be a little bit more difficult, so because I'm working on 2 computers. Yes. Will Teams crash if I join from 2 computers? I hope not. Probably not. Oh no.
Because you are recording.
Okay, I have to figure out the other way.
Okay, please retry your questions. I want to answer it, or I want to try to answer. So what should I repeat? How to create these nodes, or
how to work in this menu? Just to work in this menu. So do a little bit slower. If you are choosing one node, some random node, maybe Control, just click, and how do I go back to this default view?
Okay, this is the escape node.
Escape.
Escape is going back. Also, if you go in one section, you just press escape, then we go one level higher. If you're on the highest level and you press escape, the node browser disappears. So, and what I also show you, because there's a lot of nodes, a lot of functions. I will show you some of them and how they are used and what they are for. And when you have selected one node, you can just double click in it, and then you see here these categories. You can close in by pressing the X or pressing escape, and then you can choose another one. Which is really helpful is double clicking in this node and then pressing escape to change this kind of node. If you select one new node and you see here different renderers and you see, oh, I created the wrong renderer, I want to create a different one, then you can just hit one time escape and then choose another one.
All right, cool. But okay, so now the question. So if we click it, and we can in the search in the web we can look for any node.
Yes, you can search for any node. You can do it also when you work a lot with vvvv gamma. You know your nodes. Then I just write renderer, and then you see it. Okay, it's the skier renderer. Okay, I want to use it. And if you use it the direct way, then there are also not the categories listed because you selected this to the direct way. But at the beginning, it's often so, okay, I want to do something with math. I want addition to do with some nodes, but I don't know how it's called. Then you can go to the category math because you know, okay, I want to work with math. And then you can go into there, and then probably we find in the beginning here an addition. And then we have to know this addition node.
All right, so no other issue because I look for a renderer and I don't have this node.
Yeah, this is what probably when you press renderer, there should come up these packages. This would show in the beginning, and then there should be something for you because I clicked it already. There should be vl.skier.
All right, great. Now I see it. Thank you.
Genau, and these are packages you can add to the browser if you need this functionality. It's shipped with Gamma, but it's not added because if every functionality would be added to the node browser, it would be a lot. And so it's also about keeping your node browser a little bit of clean. Genau. And we can make another example. So if you're searching for strings, seeing strings, you often work if you have a URL or just in text, then you can first search for strings and then go into the category strings. And then you can see here all kind of functions, what can be done with strings.
Cool.
So, and probably this as the last, okay, I would go on with the help browser, and after that I think we should make the lunch break for 1 hour. I think this is a good point to make a pause. If we hit F1 to talk at the beginning, if you start with vvvv and you all don't know how to handle them, or you don't know the name of the names or where to find it, with all kind of software, it's always good to have a help or seeing how other people are doing this or how these concepts works. And so a really good point is this help browser. Probably in the evening, if we are ready, you can start watching. If you hit F1, you're seeing here. Here are some tutorial videos, here example patches. If you click them, I will click one, they come up this help patch, and then you probably can do something in there, and you see how it is done. And also here are links to videos. No, it opens in a different tab. You can see it. No, thanks. So here are some first steps of what we are doing today. That's also videos of it and how you're done. So after we are finished today or this week, there are also some more resources how get some information about. So then here are some tutorial videos, here are example patches, how they are built. Then there are some news from the website, what's happened. And you can subscribe to the newsletter. If you don't want to come, when you first time open vvvv, the help browser comes up. If you don't want it all the time, you can disable it here or enable it. I disabled it. This is what can be done here. And then I think most important tab is the second tab. This is the Learn tab. And here you see you can search for informations and how things are done. These fundamentals are the information. Here are also videos added. There are some different kind of learning resources. There are tutorials, explanations, how-tos, references, and examples. They are marked in different colors, and so tutorials are often videos which are on YouTube, which you can watch. Explanations often are references to the help. So here introducing for vvvv introduction for creative coders. Probably these are some people like you. So if you click on it, there come up the help reference, the online help reference, which I write some information about vvvv. And what's also really helpful, you can probably search for information. We had about renderers and how to use them. And when I search for renderer, you see there come up skier and renderers and writers. And then to see it probably can open the help patch. If you click on it, it comes up this help patch. And then you see that different kind of renderer, and then they're explained. And also different ways, if I don't know it, but I don't know the name or something, but now I want to work with the library skier, I can open this one. I can open, do you see here all packs which are installed and activated? And then I can click on skier, and then you see here all help informations about skier. And then probably you see the skier 2D drawing pipeline, get some basic information about it. So it's at the beginning, it's also very helpful. You don't have to start by zero and to know everything. you can just click through the help pages and copy stuff you needed or see how this is done, and then use it for your target, how to use it. Also, we have here mouse and keyboard. I told you today we will work with mouse and keyboard, and then you see here some information about how the mouse and the keyboard is used. And then you see how the nodes are called. So here are the nodes, here the renderer again, and here's the rectangle. And then you see how probably a rectangle with an orange stroke is painted, and you don't have to do it by yourself. Then we have some information when you select a node. It gives also beside the documentation tab, there's a node info. Here you find information about the node. Sometimes it's useful if there are different help patches, you can find some of them in here or the connection to them. What's also really helpful, what's yet not connected in the patches, all the shortcuts which are used in vvvv are listed here in the Learn section. Is everything new document with it? This is run and stop, F8, F5. How to open application page or the definition page, and creating a new page. Yeah, all kinds of shortcuts. It's like every software, when you use it often and often, so it's helpful to have shortcuts and do it quickly. And here it is. But I will tell you later, if you start patching after the lunch, I will show you, I will told you about the important shortcuts. Then again about the community, here the third tab is the Connect tab. This is about how you can connect to people working with vvvv Gamma. Mainly used for the community beside the forum. The forum are more for complex questions. If you don't use it and that you try to make a patch and have some problems, then you can upload your patch in the forum and make some complex questions. So it's the best way, the forum. But there's also a chat. It's an element. I don't know if you know Element. It's an open source chat tool. It's like Slack, MetaMost, all kind of deal. This, and there's also in forum, not in forum, in room about vvvv. So if you have quick questions, or it's more about how some people more like this chat way, some people like more this forum way. You can use them, but these two rooms, the forum and the chats, are heavily used by different people. And also there are, the main language is English, like often in software parts, and but there are different languages for rooms for the chatting tool. So if you're not so familiar with English, or if you're better in speaking Russian than English, then there's also a Russian room where you can join and make your questions. Also, there's regular meetups, people meeting. Now here stands in real life. Hopefully, at the end of the year or next year, they will come up. Often they are in Berlin because they're developer living in Berlin, but also there are different places in Germany and also around the world. Often some people from the community starts meetups in their country. Then we have some other parts in the news. It's from the vvvv.org page. Mastodon is something like Twitter, but an open source. Then we have an education part. Probably you can see it's also from the website. You see here universities which are teaching vvvv Gamma, and some more information. The link to Vimeo, YouTube, GitHub. You get I don't go into detail. You can just go there and click it and have a look what it is. Then the last two tabs that they are not so used so often, but also the license part, I think it's important about the license. They are called a trust. They have a trust model. So if you use vvvv for education or non-commercial project, you can just use vvvv. There are no restrictions. You have the full functionality, but the trust model is if you start earning money with the software, so please buy a license. Because the developers also have to buy food and a living room, and then so please start buy a license if you start earning money. So I did this now for 15 years, so it's possibility to feed a family with this kind of software. So it's fair if you earn money with it to buy a license. How to buy a license you can find here, and this about section is the same we have as we clicked this part. We come to about. This is just who is here the name of the core developers, some additional developers, and here's references to licenses which are used in the software. Yeah, this is about the help browser. So again, do you have questions?
I think not.
Are your brain smoking, or are you still happy for more input? Are you already gone?
I didn't understand the question, sorry.
Are you still there? Are you ready for some more informations, or should we make now a break? Shall we go on a little bit until 12? What is your feeling? Do you have questions? Was it too fast? Was it too slow? Probably it would be cool for me some feedback from you.
Okay, sometimes I felt that you really try to go quickly through everything, that you make sure that everything is set, but sometimes it was too fast. This is my opinion. I don't know about the other guy. But you know, it was some breaks between the words, between sentences, a bit.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Yeah, again, please. So yes, I was quick. This was so my intention was just to show you the UI, the user interface, and how to use it. We will do it after the lunch. So this is why I was very quick. Yes, the node browser I showed very quick, and also these functions I just showed you very quick, because we go look deeper into it after lunch. Because for me, this first part was to just show you all UI elements which we have, and with which we were on. And after the break or after lunch, or we can start it now, I will show you how it works and how to use it. So that's why I was very fast. My intention was to go fast way over it, because when we go into it, then I will not. When we dig into it too deep at the beginning, then I will miss some parts about the UI. So this was just an overview of the UI.
Okay, all right. So I understand your choice. I don't know about others. I think that we have 30 minutes left. No, 20 minutes. What can we do in 20 minutes? I think
in 20 minutes we can. Then we can start with your first programming and how to use them and what these kinds of parts. And I go very quick over it, so we can just start with it and then go on after the lunch.
Okay, all right. So I think that we should start. I don't know about the others.
Anybody else still there?
Yes, I also think that we can start now.
Okay, can you please repeat it?
So I'm here, and I think that we can start now.
Okay. So then probably I will show you. So I know it's often good to show what we will do today. It's some kind about visualizing the mouse interaction. So I have here built here a patch where we created some dots, and they will fly around. And when they are created in different colors. And when they meet each other, they are popping up and getting gray. And they have a lifetime and die after some time. So this is a little bit what we try to achieve today at the end, and to show you how it works. No. And from them, I will start. And I will show you the different parts, how to combine them each other, and how this should look like. And what we had at the beginning was the renderer. So I told you a little bit about the renderer. It's just a window for the user information. Just an output window and renderer window. That's called the output window. It's called always renderer in vvvv. There are different kind of renderers. We use the skier renderer. You can find it, and if you just write it into it renderer, or you go via graphics skier renderer. We use the renderer with no brackets after it. These kinds of renderer are there if you want to paint something and reuse it and just don't want to output it. We call this textures. Textures are just. Do you know what textures are? Textures are. These are just images. And if you want just to paint it, you need the off-screen renderer and to reuse it. And if you want to output something, if you want to output to the window, you use the classical, just the renderer with nothing in behind of it. We can have a quick look at the renderer. The main input we are using is the layer. So it works like Photoshop. I think you all know Photoshop or InDesign, where you have layers. You have different layers. You can put it in there, and it's the same concept here. We have layers. We can put in there, and how to put it in there, I will show you in some minutes. Then we have a background color. If you hover it with right, click and then drag it up or drag it down. So again, I will create this window, then better to see you what I'm doing. So I right click on the pin, on the input pin, and drag it up. I will change the value. Colors are in vvvv at default HSV, hue, saturation, and value. With up and down, you can change the value. With left and right, if you press Control and do it up and down, you change the saturation. And with if you make it change the mouse or move the mouse from the left to right or from right to left, you change the hue, the color. So if you want to change the background color of the renderer, you can do it by this output input pin. It's called color. And also if you reset it, if you sometimes you change a pin, And you see it, I can scroll in. When it's default, it's small. If it changed, it has this, it's a little bit higher, it's a quad. It's not, this is a rectangle, this is a quad. And if you want to reset it, you can press Alt and right click, and then the input pin is reset to default. You can do it the same if I changed more than one. You can just reset the whole node. If you Alt and right click on the node, then you see all changed pins are reset to default. Then we have a clear function. This is just how every graphical software works. Every stuff is painted in a regular way, in a repeated way, and everything is cleaned and painted again, and cleaned and painted again. And if you want to disable this, you can do it with this pin. Sometimes it's used probably if you want to create a little painting app. You can just disable the clear, and then you can paint with the mouse, or can add at the point where the mouse is a dot, and then you have a painting, little painting app. Yes, then we have the space. Space is a little bit important to understand. I think here it is good to open the help page. And then you go to skier, and then normalize the pixel space. With this pin, this is the skier renderer. There's an axis painted to it, and so in vvvv, the coordinate system starts in the middle of the renderer. In the middle there is 0, 0, and all values are normalized to 1 and -1. Also if you go to the left, it's -1. If you go to the right, it's +1. But important is to know that the coordinate system starts in the middle if it's normalized. And if you have high resolution displays, there's also the DPI, device independent pixels, which are calculated. You can also use this coordinate system. But if you are more familiar, or as often if you're setting typo or doing stuff like this, sometimes it's better to start the coordinate system in the top left, and you can change the renderer that it worked to top left. So you can change it to DPI top left or the pixel top left. The difference between pixel and DPI you can find it here, or it's also written down here, how it's calculated. Probably for you at the moment, we always start with normalized at the workshop. It's important for you to know the coordinate system starts with 0, 0 in the middle and goes from left -1 to right +1. And if you want to achieve a different one, or the top left one, then you have to change it here in the space. And if you need to know how to calculate it, the spaces, probably go to the help page, normalized and pixels. And then this is the space input pin. Then we can disable the cursor. You see if I go over the renderer, the cursor is disabled, and by default it's enabled if I go over it. Then we have a VSync. VSync is how it's synchronized to the monitor recalculation. It's called VSync. and we have just an enable pin to enable and disable the renderer. So if it's disabled, it does not show anything. So these are the basics about the renderer. This is one, and then I told you here's the layer. How to if you paint something into the renderer, we have to use layers. And in graphics, when you go to Skier, you see there's the category layers, and in there are a lot of primitives which you can use. Probably we can start with a rectangle. So we have a rectangle. And rectangle has a position, and size, and anchor, and paint, and angle. And now you see it. You can use the output of the rectangle and connect it to the input layer, and then ta-da, we have a paint white rectangle. And from here, it's good to start to make experiments. It's the same to the rectangle, like we do it with the background color. You can change the input pins. So you can change, if you right click on it, you can change the X coordinate from -1. So you see I go to minus and to +1. Or you can change the Y coordinate from 1 to -1. And you can also change the size. So we have the starter type vectors. It's our vectors because there's an X value and then a Y value. And if you want to change all values in there or both values, you can click the third field on the top, and then you can change the values immediately. So we have the size, and then I put this to the left. Then also we have this anchor. This is, you know it probably from different softwares. So you can think about a little dot from where we start to calculate the size or change it. So it's normally at the center, but also we can do it to the top left or top right. And if you do it to the top, middle left, and then if we change the X size, it changes the right side. And if you make it to the center, it changes to both sides. Just the point from where we make our changes. But I think the anchor concept is known from different kind of software. Then we have this paint. This is about the style, how the rectangle looks like. So we can change this. If we go to graphics, Skier, there's also a paint category we can look in. Probably the main difference is we use a fill, how it looks inside. The output, so you see it, it's called the same, it's called paint, and the type then is Skier paint. And you see here's the output. The first there's the name of the output pin, and the second is the type, so it's the Skier pen. And if I click left on the output pin, you also see this input pin gets green. It tells you that these two parts can be connected because they have the two types. Then we can connect this, and we can change here also again the color, like the background color. So I can make it black, then we don't see it again. Or if I make control and make movement upwards, then I add saturation to it. And when I move to left to right, I can change the color. And so I can change it. And then here probably I also can say if you don't want and solid rectangle, so you just want the stroke, you can double click in here, probably pressed one time escape, and then there's also a node which are called stroke, and then you see it changes just the node, and these have the same input pins, so there's also the color pin, and so the color stays and just the node changes. This is why it's sometimes useful not create the node again, or just change it. Probably also, so if you now create here the fill and connect the fill node, it gets white again and it don't keeps the color. But if I go in here and create it to fill, so it keeps the color. So that's the simplest way of paint something in the renderer. And now I told you, so here we have just one layer to connect it. If I want to connect more than one, I have to group these layers, it's called in here. So I can double click in the patch and then type group. So there are different kind of groups you see, but we can also go the way at the beginning, or it's often useful to go to skier. And you see on the top level, we have these group nodes. There are two kinds of groups, the basic group and the group spectral. The spectral, I will explain later on. For what it's used at the beginning, we need these group nodes. So we have here, and you see we get two input layers and one output layer. And here we show some more feature about vvvv gamma. If you double click on a line and then create these group nodes, so graphics, skier, group, then if it's possible for vvvv gamma, it connects these pins. So if you want to add a node between this link, into this link, you can double click on this link and say graphics, skier, group. And if it's possible for vvvv gamma, it will connect it. Now we have a group, and we can create another primitive. So we go to graphics, skier, then we have layers, and here probably we want to paint in circle. Then we have in circle. You also see it here. This is the tooltip. Probably I can tell you something about the tooltip. When I showed you the settings, I told you that there are tooltip. The tooltip is when you go over an input or a node, this tooltip comes up, and this tooltip gives you information. The tooltip, when you go over a node, it tells you what's the node for. Draws a circle at a given position with the given size. The headline is the name of the node, and in brackets there are these categories which we are going to. We go from graphics to skier to layers, and in there is this function. And this time you're seeing here running or changing, it's how fast it's calculated. This is also more when it gets more complex, your software, then sometimes it's important, or your software gets slow, then you can find here probably which node is calculated, how fast, and you can find your bottleneck. And if you go over a pin, if you go an output pin, and it's possible for the software, it will render you in preview. So in skier you will see, okay, this layer is in circle, and here you will see this layer is in rectangle, and into the group there is also a rectangle. But if I connect, it's also possible that different other way around to connect input and output pin. You can click on an input pin, and then you see which is possible to connect which output pin. So now we go to the circle, and then you see there's a circle drawn. Now you see it directly in the renderer, but you will also see it here in the layer in the tooltip. It's awesome because we have a graphical language. Sometimes good to see which kind this part is spitting out. No. And this way we can go on. If you need more layers to the group, so we don't have to create more and more groups because we have just input pins. We can change the input pins or how many input pins they have. This is about, if you go to the context menu of a node, you can just here add an input pin. Then yeah, we can create more layers, probably. Add a third one. And also there's a shortcut for this. If you press Control and plus, you get more and more input pins if you need more layers. Or you can remove it with Control minus. You can remove pins. So this is about the basics, how to paint primitives into the renderer. So was this okay? Was this too fast? There are any questions?
I had some issues mostly with clicking. I can do these notes, but sometimes I don't know how to change the preference. I try to share again. Okay, so first thing, I have this group, but I've got red lines, so I think it means it does not work.
Yes, right. Yes, if there are exceptions, there are two kinds of exceptions. One of them are red, so it can't do it, and some of them are pink. So if there's pink or red in the render, something does not work. So I think, can you just hover the rectangle? So, or the group, go with your mouse over the group. Probably it's just the wrong group or something.
Wait, on the rectangle, what do I have to do with the rectangle?
No, if the rectangle is everything right, or probably the best way, Tori, is to just hover over the red line, and then it should tell you entity is not a layer. Okay. So I think you just created a wrong group.
Okay.
So he told you then it's just double click in the group or hover the group, and then you see if you hover the group, it's called group, and please stay there over the group node, and in the brackets after the name, you see that it's called stride. Just hover it and don't move it. Double click is also fine. You see on the right side, you see the categories. It's a group node in the category stride. And stride is another engine. This is the 3D engine. We will do it on Wednesday.
All right.
So jetzt now you can press escape.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see here you go to group, and now he shows you every category which has groups. And you use stride, and now just change it to skier.
Oh, now I understand. All right.
And now you see it. Okay, there the input pit was named differently. That's why he not auto connect the rectangle. Just delete the connection, the line, and you can click on it, then press delete, and now you should.
Okay.
Put connected.
Connect.
And yeah, there are no input pins in there. I don't know why. Please select the group node and press Control plus.
Okay, Control plus.
Yeah, you have to select the node.
Select the node.
Press
Control plus.
And then Yeah, you see, this is the enabled pin. It was still there, but it did not need. This is the enabled pin where you can enable and disable. And now we created the first input pin. No, sorry. It gets green. If it's possible to connect it, it gets green. So
Okay.
now, yeah, we know, yes. Now we have
Understand.
to. And if you want now to create another input pin, just select it again, the group node, press Ctrl+. And now and now you get more, and now you can connect the circle.
All right. Circle.
And now you do not see the circle because it lies over the rectangle and both are white. Now you can move the position of the rectangle or the size or just fill it with a different color.
Actually, it does not react anymore, I think. When I do for example, the changing the colors.
Okay. Sometimes this happens. Probably now you can please press F8 and F5.
F8 at the same time?
No, first F8. Then you see it stops working, and also there's this stop sign in the quad menu on the top left, and now press F5 to restart it. And sometimes before some kinds, you can call it hiccups, and it's good to restart the software, to stop it and to restart it.
All right, it should work.
No, but it does not work.
Come on.
Can you do it again?
All right. From the beginning.
And then the F8, F5.
F8, F5. All right.
Okay. Can you also is the group enabled and the renderers enabled? You change something.
Check renderer if it's enabled.
This is
How to.
Also, to show me the next pin, there's this color pin, and then there is this one. This is the clear pin. You have to enable it.
And to do it, how I do it?
You can right-click and move the mouse up and down. Or this is what you show. You can.
Oh, correct.
Genau. So you change it and you disable the clear. And the clear is the painting of the renderer. If it's not clearing, it just not repainting all the stuff. Now, if you're changing something, you will see that it changed. If you change the color, it should change.
All right. Okay. And last one question.
Yes.
How do I choose? Okay, now I'm changing the color. How I'm choosing to change it now? It is changing the value. How can I change the saturation or something?
It was Control. Press Control. I will keep Control pressed and then moving with right click up and down.
Control first.
Yes, and I missed something at the beginning. There's also an alpha. We have an alpha channel. It's if you press Shift and moving up and down, it's changing the alpha.
Saturation and to change now. Okay, Control no.
Control up and down is saturation. With nothing pressed, up and down is value. Left and right is hue, and Shift.
Okay. I understand. Okay.
And now the last one I missed at the beginning. If you press Shift and up and down, there's also an alpha value.
Okay, now everything is clear.
So thank you very much, and see you again.